For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derek Evans. It's Friday, and it's yet the close of yet another glorious week in America's new golden age.
Yes, it is. And Mike, I don't know what's going on. Something's an issue with Rumble once again. But we see people over here in the chat waiting for the show to start, and it is not connecting to Rumble. So
all right,
to let you know that as well. Awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. If you're watching live, hop in the comments. I read every single comment. Try to give you guys shout outs, kind of like this over here. They can't hear me yet, but we got Dan Dreyer and Kelly Song already popping off in the Rumble chat. And I know obliviously he's going to be in the Getter chat. We've got Thaddeus, Chris French, Smash already over here in the X chat popping off. We really appreciate you guys. We have an awesome show lineup for you guys. And even better, we got an awesome guest with the show today. Teddy Daniels, welcome to the show, brother.
Brother, my man, how you doing, Derek? It's been a minute or two since we talked, man. It's good to be on here. I'm so happy for your success and your show and your insight. And brother, I can't thank you enough for the invitation, my man.
Absolutely, man. Always good to have you on the show, man. Always good to connect with you. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a quick little background as to who you are, what you do, all that good stuff, and let them get to know you a little bit.
I'm just a dude, man. Like
that's how you know he is the dude when they say something like that.
Yeah.
Brother. Like, I've well, Derek, like being a West Virginia guy, I played my college ball for the Mountaineers back in the day, long time ago, 30 years ago. I was a starting guard out there. Nearly 15 years as a cop, 4 years active duty Army infantry. Got banged up pretty good in Afghanistan, took a couple bullets, did some business stuff here and there, and then I did the dumbest thing I ever did in my life, brother. I decided to jump into the political arena. Because I hate both sides, okay? If you are a career politician, all right, you have no right in office at all, period, all right? And the way I describe politics, Derek, is like when I was a kid growing up, man, like pro wrestling was huge. So you had Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they'd be in the ring, going at it, bashing each other over the head. Their fans would be in the stands, okay? Fights would spill out into the parking lot, and then the match is over. The fans are still fighting each other in the parking lot, and then backstage, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, they're hanging out having a beer together. So that is politics today, okay? It is it's Hollywood for the ugly. Brother,
yeah,
that's what it is, So, like, you've been in the mix, man. You know what it's all about. I've been in the mix, and I do a lot of political consulting now. So,
Well,
Absolutely.
nothing wrong.
Well, obliviously in the Getter chat says that Teddy just likes a challenge, and that's why you got into politics. You just want to continue challenging yourself.
Brother, nothing worthwhile ever comes easy. You know what I mean? And
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, I can't be one of those dudes walking around with like a little alligator on my shirt, goofy socks, and short shorts on a golf course. Like, that is not me. You know what I mean? Like, I got to go out. Like, I will be grinding till the day I die, man. Like, my wife and I talked about this. I've sold businesses. I've gotten out of this. I've done that. And it's like, cool. I'm retired now. It's like, yeah, for like 5 days. And then
Exactly.
And I got to go find something else to do.
Really quick, I wanted to let you know, Mike, first of all, Rumble is working, and I'm going to give another shout out over here to Kelly Song and Dan Dreyer that you guys can hear us. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And then in the X chat, we've got Kristen over here as well. Kristen says her sister went to WVU around the same time as Teddy did, which is pretty cool. You know, Teddy, something we've never really spoken about this, man, but I remember, I don't know where I saw it, is on social media or something somewhere. I saw the video of you in Afghanistan getting shot and taking fire.
Yeah.
And I'm getting emotional thinking about that. Like the fact that you would do that for our country, number one, but number two, like, dude, it's one thing to know that somebody went through that, but dude, watching that video, that was insane, man. I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much for doing what you did for our country. That was seriously an incredible video. If you guys haven't seen that, Teddy, I don't know if it's on your socials or something. You guys need to go watch that video. It was very intense. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was 2012. It was 2012. I had a helmet cam on. We got ambushed, and it was we were small unit. It was an 8-man unit. We were pinned down, and I came out in the open, took fire, and the rest of the unit was able to maneuver to safety. And yeah, it was pretty wild, man. Like, I had my talk with God that day, and like, honest to God, like, it's weird, the stuff that goes through your head when you think you are going to die. And the toughest part for me coming home was, like, I had accepted death. I'd given it to God that day, and you know, the whole time after the camera went dead, I'm walking down the hill, I'm returning fire, I'm hitting targets, and I'm thinking, like, I've never felt more at peace in my life. And I'm like, okay, God, I got it. You know, you're bringing me home today. Just let me catch one in the face or the neck. Like, I don't want to suffer. Just put one in me and let's do it. And I think after you live through an experience like that, Derek, there's not much in the world that can beat you down after that. You know what I mean? So, like, Derek, you've known me for some time. I'm always kind of like that guy that stands there with my finger in the air. So, you know, anybody wants to bring it, bring it. You know, that's kind of how I feel about things.
Go ahead, Mike. You haven't got to talk much. Getting Rumble working.
Yeah, and again, to our audience, sorry, I don't know what happened with Rumble again this morning. We've been having issues with them lately on a couple of the shows on X America News, but I shut down and restarted the connection. It looks like it should be streaming there now. We got a lot to get into again today, and I guess before we get into all of our normal topics, we have another update on the 7/11, 9/11 conflict, the India-Pakistan war, as that starts to kick off. I guess right now, or recently, I can't really tell from the news articles, they are currently going through the largest dogfight since World War II. There's estimated to be 250 aircraft participating in a dogfight right now between the two countries, not to mention drone attacks going both ways, and they're continuing to shell each other. And there are some reports that a ground invasion has started, though I don't know, this might be just conflict right along the border. Again, it looks like things are just really starting to cook off over there right now. And like we stated yesterday, the real worry here is that this conflict goes nuclear. If India crosses into Pakistan's borders, Pakistan's already promised to nuke their own border right down the line to basically create a wall of radiation to make it difficult for India to have a large-scale ground invasion. India has also threatened to respond that if that were to happen, they will consider that to be a direct attack and will launch nuclear-armed missiles into Karachi and into military bases throughout Pakistan. You know, if there's going to be a nuclear conflict, this is probably the one on Earth that will have the least effect on the United States. China is extremely concerned about this because there is to be a nuclear conflict there. A lot of this due to weather patterns, a lot of the radiation is thought to will drift north into central China, which is the same area where they grow a lot of their food, and they won't be able to support their own population if they have to throw out a year's worth of rice and other crops. They won't be able to feed their own people.
Really quick before we go to Teddy, I got Tigress Bree Lee over here. Thank you so much in the X chat. Gave me the link to the news story of where they covered Teddy getting hit in combat. I just put that in all the other chats. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely, I highly recommend it. It's only like 2.5 minutes long. Highly recommend that. With that, Teddy, man, I'd love to get your feedback on this whole issue going on with India and Pakistan. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, first off, Tigers, that's my wife, brother. So
oh, awesome. Okay. Well, brother, listen, I'm just looking at the profile picture, but you got kicked your coverage over here, buddy.
Nah, she out kicked her coverage. All right. Come on. Not many. No, I did. Because she's watching, and I'll catch hell when she gets back. So no, I definitely did. I way out of my league, man. So I did good. All right. Pakistan, India. Right? So
yes,
we're worried about radiation going north to China. Pakistan and India are going to blow each other off the map. I want to know, after all this is said and done, will I be able to get a good Slurpee anywhere? That's my concern. Okay, because I love Slurpees. My little guy loves Slurpees, and if they're both blown off the map, I don't know if anybody else can make a Slurpee that good.
Well, luckily,
obliviously in our Getter chat, one of our avid listeners, watchers, has dubbed this as the 7-Eleven 9/11 war, and that's what we've been running with since then.
I love it. I love the name. But here's the thing. Here's what astonishes me, okay? Here's what astonishes me. So the country, we talked a little bit offline about this. The country that was training Taliban mortarmen, okay, and the country that was hiding Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
How much money did they get from us for gender studies and everything else? And it's these are guys that go out and have sex with goats. I don't care about Pakistan.
Yes.
I don't care, okay? I might not be able to get some nice linen shirts anymore because that's where most of them come from, but I don't care about Pakistan. And China, as far as I'm concerned, screw them too. All right. With the radiation going north, it's almost like India's killing two birds with one stone for us. And,
yeah, agreed.
Just let them have it. Let them have it.
And to answer your question, we spent $200 million on gender studies programs in Pakistan. So at least that'll be a good return on our investment.
Yeah, and think about this, guys. Seriously, think about this. Our U.S. tax money going to fund that kind of woke-ass garbage in Pakistan. All right?
Yeah. Oh, and I guarantee you,
not the math at this point. Seriously, I don't care. They have never been an ally of the U.S. They've always been kind of like the sneaky, shady SOB that, just we don't need them. It's better if they're and I don't advocate harm for anybody. I really don't, guys. And you know this. I've been to war. I am not an advocate for war. I think anybody who's seen it, done it, wouldn't wish that on their worst enemy. But I have no remorse at this point.
Here's a good rule, Teddy. These politicians and such who want to push war, fund war, promote war, they should send any politician who wants to push war, promote war, fund war, all of that, they should be sending their children and grandchildren to the front lines and lead by example. And if they're not going to do that, then obviously it's not an important enough issue to go to war. And that's how I look at it. I'm not sending my sons to go to Pakistan or India right now, or Ukraine for that matter. I'm just not going to do it. And so therefore I'm not going to promote those things. I'm not going to push those things. I'm not going to try to profit off of those things. And that's what's really frustrating, is watching these people, these scumbags, sit here and push this, promote on both sides, push this, promote this, fund this, self-enrich themselves with this, line their pockets with this, all while their children, their grandchildren, their family are sheltered from any of the consequences and any of the actions of their what they're pushing.
Well,
Yeah, bingo.
I'll tell you this. The blood of American soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan is on these politicians' hands. My blood is on their hands. If you take a look at the amount of money that comes in through the military industrial complex to campaign contributions to people like Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
All right. Him and Zelensky are behind closed doors doing God. I'm not even going to go there. But,
Yeah.
Okay. It's all a money racket, because if there's no war, these corporations don't get paid. So they buy the politicians to go to war so they can get paid. That's exactly what happens. And I've grown up a lot since I was downrange, and it's like, I wasn't fighting for country. I wasn't fighting for America. You know, the way I can justify the stuff that I did over there was I was fighting for the guy next to me, you know, because he was in the same shithole I was.
Yeah.
And we were sent there by greedy corporations and corrupt politicians to line their pockets. And essentially, that's what's it. So Arlington National Cemetery, every politician should take a walk through there and realize that they put 90% of those people in the ground. That's how I look at it.
Again, I think this is the biggest reason that the deep state, their operatives, people like Lindsey Graham fear Trump and fear the changes so much that are going through right now, clearing out all this corruption that's manifested and rooted itself within the Pentagon, this military, industrial, media, medical complex that now is really running the country from the inside and gutting these hooks that they've got within our government right now, and removing that power that they have, that they're utilizing basically just to enrich themselves while spreading death and chaos around the world. That's what they really fear. That's more than anything else that Trump is doing or the changes that we're seeing. That's what they're really afraid of, is getting their hooks unrooted from controlling the U.S. government from the shadows, from inside.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's I don't want any nuclear armed Muslim nation, especially. Again, this is a religion centered around violence that that believes that anybody that doesn't believe what they believe deserves death, slavery, destruction. They have no value of human rights, no value of anything. It's just conquer your enemy. We see what's happening in Europe right now, and it beginning to happen in America. Something needs to be done to stop the Islamization here and around the rest of the world. But we certainly don't need nuclear-armed Muslim nations. I mean, what's to prevent? Right now Pakistan has 270 nuclear warheads. What's to prevent them from handing off a few of these to Iran? They share a border with Afghanistan. Afghanistan shares a border with Iran. It wouldn't be that hard to move a nuclear warhead up there that could then end up somewhere else in the Middle East, or get smuggled into Europe for mass casualties somewhere. But yeah, we've got no skin in the game, no dog in this fight. I wish India well, and I hope they conquer wipe Pakistan off the map if that's what it comes to.
Teddy, from your perspective, who would you say is an actual ally of the United States that we could trust in times of war and such? What would you say?
I would say Great Britain. I would say Poland. I've worked with the Polish commandos downrange. I know the British Royal Marines, Australia. But here's the thing, like, none of them are powerhouses like the United States. Okay.
Yeah.
And I say this with all due respect to every single one of those nations, but compared to the United States, it's like sending in the junior varsity team. Okay. We would always have to take the lead on anything. And I am tired of the military being used as the world's police force. I really am. The guys who fought in Korea and the guys who fought in Vietnam, especially the guys who fought in Vietnam, were betrayed by their country. Okay. Betrayed to the point that they were spit on when they came home. And they were not allowed to win that war. Yep. They weren't allowed to win. Politicians lost that war. It was not the man in the jungle with the M16. Politicians lost that war. The last can't believe I'm even saying this, but righteous war that this country has been in was World War II. American soil was attacked by another invading military.
Yeah.
That was Pearl Harbor. And then we got drawn into that. Times were different then. Everybody wanted to go enlist. Guys that couldn't enlist, like they couldn't live with themselves. And society and culture and everything else, we've really shied away from that mentality. But the United States has always been, the big boot on the door, and will always need to be. But I think we need to build our strength to protect this nation from outside attack, not be deployed across the world, getting involved in bullshit like India and Pakistan.
Yeah. And I'd agree.
I know we're going to go to a break. Hold on, I want to clear some chats real quick. We got Terry over here in the X chat, and we got An America First over here in the X chat, and then we got Mama Goose in the Getter chat. And just so you guys know, if you guys have any questions for Teddy, we're going to get into some news coverage and stuff here in a minute. But if you guys have any questions specifically for Teddy, put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to read them off and get those over to Teddy. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd have to agree. I mean, I think World War II is really the last righteous fight, as you said, that we've been in. And it's not to say there haven't been some like small conflicts, small operations too, that were also justified, like, Grenada going and rescuing a bunch of college students from the commies. There's stuff like that that's short term. But when you're talking a real war, real engagement, yeah, you've got to go back a long way before it was a fight that we really should have been involved with anyway. That wasn't just being a proxy for the military industrial complex. All right, guys, we got to take a quick break here from our sponsors. We'll be right back with more.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard My Pillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use My Pillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the programs on X American News is by supporting our sponsors. You can go to MyPillow or MyStore.com right now. Use our code Insurrection. You'll get the deepest discounts on every product on there. And again, right now, Mike Lindell really does need your help. They're back in the media crosshairs. Both he and his employees at MyPillow, ever since he's threatened to run against Tampon Tim for governor of Minnesota. So right now, they need your help. So do all the companies that make up My Store. These are small U.S.-based businesses all over the country that create a variety of products and support U.S. jobs. So again, that's code Insurrection for My Store or MyPillow.com. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into some of the headlines we've got.
Can I ask one question of Teddy before we jump into the stories? I'm sorry. I wanted to get Teddy's thoughts on this. I mean, obviously we're against war and spending money to go to war into foreign countries. But I feel like, and I am just a dude when it comes to this stuff. I don't know anything about this. So that's why I like to ask experts. Would it be safe to say that we've allowed our defense systems in terms of defending America from outside attacks have been let go over the years, and we should be investing into that? What are your thoughts on that, and kind of what would you like to see done in terms of boosting the defense of the United States of America?
Well, I think we've been spread too thin for too long.
Yep.
Okay. And our biggest threat right now is our next big threat in the United States is not going to be a conventional war. It's not going to be terror attacks. It's going to be cyber warfare. It's going to be hackers, our power grids being attacked, put us into freaking darkness. That's going to be the next attack on the United States. So I think this country really needs to take heed of what's going to do next. Militarily, Derek, there is not a country on this planet that can go toe to toe with the U.S. military. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially now that we got, all the pronoun and dress wearing ones out of the military. All right. It's not going to happen. Like I was in before, dudes were allowed to wear dresses in the military. And I'm not saying I wanted to wear a dress. Okay. Let me clarify that. But I was in before all that woke weirdness started.
Yeah.
Now that is all making its way out again, and young men and women want to go join something big and go kick ass and do cool guy stuff, there ain't nobody out there that can beat us. It's going to be a cyber war, and an information war is what it's going to be. It's going to be propaganda and a cyber war. And
I got an audience question for you too, Teddy, here from Chris French in the X chat over on my X account is asking, a lot of vets talk about the worst moments of their service, obviously, understandably. What was the best part of your service? And thank you for all your service to our country.
Oh boy, the best part. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the guys. Believe it or not, I miss the 5 a.m. PT sessions. Okay, like, all right, I'm going to share some stuff here. All right, don't judge me. But anybody who's been in those, like, we'd be out drinking till 4 a.m. and then show up at 5 for PT, and we'd go on a 7-8 mile run, and everybody would be puking and laughing. I mean, like, I'm 50 now, brother. Like, I hurt my back tying my shoes. So, like, there's no way I could ever go back and do that again. But it was just fun times, and the stories with the guys, inside the military and outside the military, outside, of post, just hanging out, doing stuff together, and just knowing that, hey, man, this man's my brother. Anything happens, I got his back. He's got my back. We actually did some, I can't believe I'm saying this. We did something leading up to deployment called Bar Fight Tuesdays. All right. So, I was stationed in Fort Carson, Colorado, a lot of Air Force bases around there. And a bunch of us would go into an Air Force bar, and some Air Force techie guy would say something stupid, and there'd be a bar fight. And then we started upgrading, then we go downtown into the nightclubs, and then we got real froggy, went into the biker bars, and it was just gearing up to go downrange, man. You know what I mean? But it was a thing in our entire unit was Bar Fight Tuesday. And, our first sergeant took it easy on us on Wednesday morning PT because he knew we were out fighting in bars on Tuesday nights. So, like, that's the kind of stuff I miss from the old military.
So really quick, Thaddeus over here in the chat says that's a long-held tradition, Teddy, talking about Bar Fight Tuesday. So that's pretty cool.
Bar Fight Tuesday, brother. It was a good time. Bloody knuckles and all, man.
Well, I think you're exactly right when it comes to, like, the next biggest threat facing the U.S. is going to be from cyber attacks, information warfare. We're already seeing the effects of information warfare in the fake news our media regurgitates. That's obviously to position certain ideas. We were led to believe Ukraine was just kicking Russia's ass if you watched the mainstream media for years until they finally had to admit that it's been a massacre over there. But yeah, cyber attacks are something that I think most people, they know it exists, but they don't really understand the scale that something could happen on. Like you mentioned, bringing down utilities, and that's always been one of the objectives. Like you said, like our utilities right now are constantly under threat. They're based on coding and technology that's decades old that needs to be upgraded and hardened. There's not been any real effort to do that. But yes, you can bring down a giant by knocking out the electricity or even just taking down the internet. I mean, think about it now today. Without reliable internet service, that's no credit card transactions. Nobody carries any cash anymore. All of a sudden, your cell phone is also offline because most of these are now digital connections where your phone is even connected. Your calls are going over the internet even when you're away from your house. So it's something that even a minor nation could do that can bring down a giant, where we would have to, the devastation here would just be unheard of.
It would. And here's the thing, and Derek knows this, like my primary residence is Southern West Virginia. Okay. I've got a lodge on 15 acres on top of a mountain surrounded by 23,000 acres of national forest. All right. took my wife up there a couple times, and she's like, there's nothing around. And I'm like, that's exactly how I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I shoot bears, turkey, deer, coyotes. Like, I can self-sustain. All right. Not a lot of people in this country have the ability to self-sustain. And I know I don't look like it now with the pink shirt and the little gay paisley stuff on here, but I'm in the Outer Banks. I got to fit in with everybody around here now.
Right.
But,
Incognito,
like,
I understand.
But like back home, man, like it's shit kickers jeans and a Carhartt, and I'm out getting shit done. And like I bow hunt, everything else, and it's I can sustain for however long it takes. I'm good with no power. I'm good with no internet. You know, I'm good if grocery stores go empty. I'm good with all that stuff. 99% of the population, they're not. Okay.
Especially
I have EMP protectors in my vehicles. Okay. I even have an old 84 Dodge pickup in case there's an EMP. There's no electronics. I could run that truck anywhere. So it's just, I wouldn't call myself a super prepper, but I call myself a survivalist, and it's just being prepared. Okay. Knowing and having a plan if anything were to happen. And, you know, I've got that plan. So.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right too. The 75 to 80% of the U.S. population that lives in major cities is screwed if something happens. Most cities, if it's in the middle of winter, your natural gas supply is going to run out in 3 to 7 days, depending on pipe pressure levels. You're only going to have water for 3 to 7 days. Same thing, and in some cities even less than that. Not to mention sewage backups and other things that all occur the minute the power pipe pressure levels. Same thing. Even less backups. The power. Realize there's pumps, there's other electronics, there's things that need to happen to facilitate all these things that we essentially take for granted. Just losing power knocks out so many other systems. Not to mention, again, our hospital system goes down. No food in the supermarkets. Like, that is the real danger. Let's go ahead and we got to at least touch on some of these stories we've got lined up, because there is a lot going on in the news. We have the first American Pope, Robert Francis Prevost, took the name Leo the 14th. And there's some reason to be concerned. New Pope bashed MAGA, Trump immigration policies, and venerated George Floyd in past tweets. Again, this guy is a lawyer. He is another, I believe he's also out of the Jesuit order. And this is somebody that is very much on the modern leftist take, but he's a little more clever than Pope Francis was and how he voices that. He's probably not going to get caught making some of these statements like Francis did to the media, but it'll still be enacting the same policy, but under a guise, unfortunately.
Derek, you want to start on this one, brother?
Brother, listen, I'll go ahead and just pop it off. I posted this and everything. I don't give an F about this Pope. This Pope is a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if it makes you mad. I don't care. He's been out here bashing President Trump, JD Vance. He supports open borders. He supported the George Floyd stuff. That's all I need to know about this guy. Is he possibly better than the last Pope in terms of certain issues? Possibly.
Maybe marginally.
Is he what a Pope is? Is he what a Pope is supposed to be? No, he's not. These people use these positions and turn around and lead people astray. That's as simple as it is. They misguide people. They lead them astray. And I think there's a special place in hell for people who use the pulpit to basically mock the word of God and to lead people and confuse people with a lot of the things that they're saying. That's my opinion, and that's as blunt as I could say it. And sorry if that ruffles some feathers, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I grew up Catholic. I grew up Catholic, got kicked out of 3 Catholic schools by the time I was in the 7th grade. I was an altar boy too, believe it or not. But like I said, guys, I'm 50 years old. I can't look back and remember a single morning where I ever woke up and I said to myself, I wonder what the Pope is thinking today. Okay? Like, I don't care what this Pope is saying or doing because it doesn't affect my life personally. I will tell you this, as a side shoe to this, you see all these churches celebrating the LGBTQ agenda and this and that, no hate here. We're all welcome with the rainbows and shit and everything else. Okay. Let me tell you, it's wrong.
Yeah.
It is wrong. It is wrong for an institution to go out, and a religious institution, if they are truly a religious institution, to go out and promote that debauchery that the Bible itself stands against. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, I'm not a Bible thumper. Like, I've done some shit in my life. All right. Like, but to be a church and you have these people who are holier than thou and they clutch their pearls and everything else, to go out and promote this stuff through a church, I can't take you serious.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. We have lost religion in this country. Religion has caved. Mostly all religions have caved to the societal pressure to accept the sexual deviants and degenerates into society. So there, I
agreed.
said it.
Even worse, Teddy, they're promoting it, like you said. That's
Exactly.
I mean, acceptance would be bad enough, but to promote this and to use their positions to beat the drums, if you will, for the trans movement and abortion and all these sorts of things. I mean, it is next level, honestly, as far as I'm concerned about that. I did see somebody. I want to give her credit. Kelly Song over here mentioned that she had saw that he was a registered Republican, and I saw that yesterday as well. But my response to that was, so is Mike Pence, so is Liz Cheney, so there's
Lindsey
a
Graham.
lot of people who are there's a lot of these people who are registered Republican who are still never Trumpers. And look, to me, it's not about being a never Trumper, if you will. It's about the issues that he's spoken out about. If he just said something like he didn't like President Trump, I wouldn't really. And as Teddy said, I don't care about the Pope, even if he was a Pope who had all my political beliefs or anything like that. I still wouldn't care. We have a country to save right now. Our country's under attack, and we have rhinos in the Senate right now who are doing everything they can to stab President Trump in the back. I don't really care, because, as Teddy said, it doesn't affect my life. And just for clarification, for the record, my wife and her family are also Catholic as well. And my wife is, I guess, probably former Catholic. She was raised Catholic. So it's nothing against that, but I would say the same thing if this was a Methodist person, a Baptist, or whatever else. These people who are out here pushing these things and using their position to do so, I think are next level sort of wrong to do those things.
Well, yeah, and that's the real problem is using the pulpit to propagate this globalist message that we have, to allow the church to be infiltrated with this modernist ideology, where it's that they are approving of the LGBTQ agenda, open borders, destroying countries. Again, if this guy had just said some negative things about President Trump, didn't like how he was talking to other world leaders, whatever, who cares? Doesn't matter. But the problem is, like, people like this are infiltrating the church, and it isn't just the Catholics, like you said. It's a lot of the other denominations now that are getting in bed with this stuff and then destroying it. And people wonder why fewer and fewer people were going to churches, and we're turning away from God, turning away from Jesus. That this is why, because there is no message there anymore. It's just whatever happens to be popular at the moment. Now, I know recently we finally are starting to see a resurgence in people in the U.S. attending church and being religious, but this is also on the more conservative veins. In the Catholic Church, it's the Orthodox Church that's growing. People that want to go back to the traditional Latin Mass. In other churches or other denominations, it's the same thing. It's the more conservative branch that's growing, because people do want grounding in their life. They do want to actually adhere to the Word of God and what's in the Bible. And you can't do that when you're watering it down and you're changing it to accept whatever the current globalist theology is that they want to see propagated throughout the world.
Well, and you're exactly right, brother. It's an agenda that's being pushed. It's a globalist agenda. They've done it in the education system. They've done it in the political system. They've done it in the corporate system. And now they've taken over the sanctity of the religious institutions. And it's like we're in a multifaceted, multi-front war against this type of stuff. And like I homeschool my little boy. Well, actually my wife, she's a former teacher. She does awesome. But my little boy's homeschooled. I can't have him in a school with this kind of crap going on everywhere. It's not going to happen. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I'll say it too. I haven't been to church in years. I haven't been to church. I have my own relationship with God. Okay. It's a very close relationship. Churches and religion are man-made. Okay. And they will always be influenced by society and whatever man wants. Your personal relationship with your maker is your personal relationship with your maker. And that's more important than going to church and giving money so they can push a woke agenda.
Agreed.
I got some really good comments over here in the chat. Thaddeus says, I didn't leave the Catholic Church. They left me when they became political.
Exactly.
And that is awesome. And then Terry says they're sanctioning the murder of our next generations and then putting those who believe in the sanctity of life in jail. And then John says, popes, John Montana over here, popes come and go, but our faithfulness to God remains, which is absolutely true. And then the only thing I was going to say to you, Teddy, in response to what you just said is the Bible says where two or more are gathered.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree, brother. I agree.
Yeah, same here. We got to take one more quick break here from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support Ex American News, our program, is by supporting our sponsors. You can go to lutfstudio.com right now. Excuse me, and get yourself a unique, one-of-a-kind, hand-paid piece of art from Annie Cyrus. She does a lot of work behind the scenes here, producing the shows that you see on Ex American News, and her own program, Live Up to Freedom, which you can catch every Tuesday and Thursday here on Ex American News. So again, once again, that is lutfstudio.com. Go there today and help support Annie Cyrus and all the work we do over here at Ex American News. Let's go ahead and jump into this other story because, yeah, you know, again, we've talked about this all week, that these rhinos in the Senate, the rhinos in the House need to go because they're standing in the way of the agenda that the American people voted for. And there's no greater example of that than Ed Martin. Breaking: Trump promotes Ed Martin to top DOJ post to hunt down weaponization of Biden regime. And you know what? I think this is a good position for him. And this may be, he may be able to do more harm and damage to the deep state within the DOJ than he could have as a lead prosecutor in D.C. What do you guys think about this?
Well, I could tell you, I know all of us know Ed personally.
Yeah.
Okay. Just what an amazing man. He's a very righteous man. He's a man with the utmost character and integrity. He's not a man that can be bought. He's not a man who's for sale. And Ed Martin is the man that will do the right thing. And I'm sure that that's why these rhino-ass senators won't confirm him.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to have targets on themselves. So I wish Ed the best. I think he'll do an amazing job at the DOJ. Hunting down the weaponization. And here's the thing, it's obvious. It's like, is the sky blue? Yes. Did the DOJ weaponize the judicial system against Trump and conservatives? Yes. Okay. Now I want to start seeing some people thrown in handcuffs. That's what I want. And I'll be happy. I could die a happy man. I see people issued out in handcuffs because
exactly.
it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be up here cheering the first time we get a 6 a.m. video of somebody getting frog marched out of their house. But it hasn't happened yet. We keep hearing it's going to be coming, and it better be at this point. If we don't see mass arrests in June and July, like we keep hearing floated around, like that's it. I mean, it can't come soon enough. It really needs to happen sooner than that. There's actually, you know what? We'll go ahead and pull these next two headlines because that kind of demonstrates it. We'll just add this into the conversation here. Trump appoints Judge Jeanine Pirro as interim U.S. attorney for D.C. and arrest her now. Rabid leftist spits on acting D.C. U.S. attorney Ed Martin during live TV interview with Newsmax. You know, why isn't she already in handcuffs and drug in charge? I mean, that's a biological attack. It's spit in somebody's face. And then to do it live on TV, again, these people have no soul. But I think also Trump putting Judge Jeanine Pirro in instead, as appointing her in the position interim, that the left may have bought off more than they can chew, because she's somebody else too that, as this has progressed, as she's seen the government weaponized against conservatives, she's taken note. And again, she's somebody else that will fight with a vengeance. I don't know her, but what we see on TV, if that carries forward, she's going to be a vicious fighter for America, for our Constitution, and for the America First agenda there in D.C.
I don't know much about her.
Like, I saw where I'm sorry, Derek. Go ahead, brother.
No. I was telling you to go ahead. That's what I was saying.
Oh, okay. See, I couldn't hear because you were telling me. I was telling you. All right. So, I heard Trump can appoint a new person every 120 days. Okay? Yes. Because if Ed Martin's not going to get confirmed, Judge Jeanine's not going to get confirmed. All right. It's just like, let's be honest, it's not going to happen. So I'd have a lineup. I'd be like, every 120 days, hey, your time to get in the game. All right.
Yeah.
And as far as this leftist spitting in Ed Martin's face, you know what the problem with these leftists are? I'll tell you what the problem is right now. None of them have ever been punched in the freaking mouth.
Yeah.
All right. Because if you've been punched in the mouth, you wouldn't be running around acting like a horse's ass. It just wouldn't be happening. Okay.
Well, yeah.
If there were okay, I spent 15 years as a cop. And yeah, I've had people spit on me. You know what happened? They got punched in the freaking mouth and then arrested. All right. So there is no, and Ed, let me tell you, Ed's too good of a man to haul off and crack some leftists in the mouth. I'm not. All right. I'm not that guy. So I'm not as good a man as Ed Martin to have that type of restraint. I will, make somebody eat through a straw for 6 months. So good. The problem is society, we've been demonized for pushing back to the point that we can now be assaulted. And then if we did something back, we're the bad guys. Okay.
Yep.
And it's a shame. I'm going to say some controversial shit. And it's like, if you deserve to get punched in the mouth, you deserve to get punched in the mouth. I don't care. Don't spit on me. Don't spit on my family. Don't spit on my kids. I'll go to jail and I'll sleep like a baby. So,
well, it's funny you say that, Teddy. So I've been asked multiple times, about time in prison, where I was in prison for January 6th, and people ask me a lot about that. And I tell them the one good thing that I actually loved about prison was exactly that. People had respect for each other because they knew that if you went up and disrespected somebody like that, you were going to get punched in the mouth. And so you don't go up and disrespect somebody unless you're ready to throw hands. I mean, that's just that was the, it's just the way it was. And I think that if we could take that out into the real world, it was like that when our grandfathers were younger, you know what I mean? That's how it was. And at the same time though, back then you could fight somebody, get your butt whooped or whoop somebody, whatever, shake hands and go on about your day. You don't have to worry about somebody pulling out a gun and blasting you or trying to stab you or 17 of their friends jumping in and trying to beat you with stuff. It was like a respect thing. It was like, we're going to settle this like men. And whatever happens, happens, and then we're both going to shake hands and go on about our day. And those things have left, and the left have gotten so radicalized because there's been no consequences for their actions, quite frankly, as you pointed out. And then in terms of President Trump here appointing Ed Martin to that position as the head of the weaponization of government within the DOJ, I saw some other people talking about it in the chat saying checkmate. That's exactly what it is. This is just proof once again that President Trump is always one step ahead on this. He had that as a backup plan. My question here is, if they refuse to confirm Judge Pirro to this position, can he reappoint Ed Martin? I mean, can the same person be reappointed or not? It'd be funny if they didn't do that and he just takes them back and forth, just switches their positions every other 20 days.
I actually read an article yesterday stating that that's exactly what Trump should do if the Senate also refuses to confirm Judge Jeanine Pirro, that there is nothing in the rules that state he can't just keep rotating, or, why not throw Matt Gaetz in the mix? He can take a couple months off his new position over at OAN, and he can root out the deep state and just make life hell for the rest of the people in D.C. that don't want to go along with President Trump and the American people's agenda. So, that's, again, though, the problem is this element within government, the deep state, and people like Tillis and others that are still their puppets. That the only reason, again, he even stated that he would have voted and approved Ed Martin for any other position similar to this, any other U.S. prosecutor, whatever. But because it was in D.C., it was somebody, his handlers, I assume, told him no. That it's you got to fall on the sword this time. You're going to have to be the one that spoils this. But again, that's why they need to be rooted out and destroyed and exposed, whether it's just a cabal or whether it's people being controlled by blackmail or whatever else. I mean, this just illustrates the root of the problem once again.
Well, here's the biggest issue for me in terms of these rhinos in the Senate who refused to confirm Ed Martin, okay? They were willing to say that they trust Judge Boasberg to choose the next U.S. attorney as opposed to President Trump. That is a concerning. Like, think about that. There are rhinos in the Senate who all ran on MAGA, all ran, I'm pro-Trump, I will fight for the Trump agenda, I will work with President Trump, I will push all these sorts of things, spend all this money lying to their constituents during their campaign. And now when it comes time to, we're not even asking you to do anything dangerous. We're not asking you to do anything crazy. We're asking you to just say "I" when it comes to confirming whoever President Trump trusts and wants to be, and push the button for yes. That's all we're asking you to do. And they could not bring themselves to do that much. And then the other thing I want to say is Tom Tillis has taken a lot of heat, as he should, but the other senators who remained silent on this, such as Lindsey Graham, who just got all this help from President Trump already early on. Why was he not out here beating the drum for anybody that President Trump appoints to whatever position? I don't care if it's head janitor. I mean, these people need to fall in line and support President Trump's nominees.
Well, you guys nailed it, Mike, when you said, they're controlled by a black male, and I'm going to say controlled by Black Rock. Okay?
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
It's like, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. And without those people supporting them financially, they're nothing. So they're going to go with their globalist and corporate freaking handlers and do what they tell them to say, because they are all bought. Every last one of them. You're there longer than 4 or 5 years, you're bought and paid for. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. So you catch more heat for doing the right thing than you do for going against what the president wants. So, and it's a sad state of affairs. I'd say, the United States or Washington, D.C. is nothing but a cesspool surrounded by the rest of America. And that's where we are.
Well, you're exactly right. I guess the other thing that really gets me about all these is everybody that these rhinos have stood against, it isn't for any type of valid reason, even when I disagree with, like, the person not being qualified for the job for whatever reason. It basically, it's always because there's somebody that was going to go in there and root out the corruption. Those are the nominees they stood against. And to me, again, that's just illustrates the problem even more. And that's why Washington's got to change. These people have to go. And this problem has to be ripped out, rooted out, destroyed. And then we need to put legislation in place that can do its best to prevent this from ever happening again. Because this is not a new problem. This is just, it's come to a head. This has been ongoing since the 1950s, really. It became blatantly obvious with Kennedy and the Kennedy assassination, but really it's even before that. But their power has grown more and more. It's coalesced within D.C., and now it appears they have their hooks in just about everybody in Congress, and that's why we can't get any forward momentum. I mean, that's why the House won't do anything right now. They have a majority. Like we've said over and over again, they could be turning President Trump's executive orders into law and passing them and then forcing the Senate to stand against them, but they refuse to. They go on vacation. They go back to their district. They don't do anything. Well, what did you say, Derek? When they get back from this next break, they're only scheduled, what is it, like 42 out of the next 90 days, something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, it's insane, man. Honestly, it really is. This is Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell 2.0. I've been trying to tell people for a long time that what they're doing is slow rolling everything. They are trying to run out the clock to get as close to the midterms as possible. Then they're going to say, you have to vote for us if you want to get President Trump's agenda passed over the next 2 years, or the Democrats aren't going to let that happen. It's like, dude, you guys should have, you got Doge. Okay. You got all these, not just Elon Musk, you got all these millionaires, CEOs of companies and such, and President Trump for that matter, and most of his cabinet picks, they're working like 20 hours a day. I mean, seriously, these people never sleep. They're working 7 days a week around the clock, working to try to save our country. And you can't even get our rhinos in the Senate and the House to show up to push buttons, sitting in an air-conditioned room somewhere, to push buttons to codify the agenda that President Trump is, these executive orders and stuff that he's pushing out on that. And then the other thing I want to say about appointments for President Trump has been, doing. This is not directed at the Democrats. I expect them to vote against everything that he does, even though the Republicans don't. All these Republicans voted for Merrick Garland, Blinken, Mayorkas, all of Biden's nominees. They voted for all of them. So it's very frustrating on that regard as well. But if it's okay to disagree, we're not a cult. It's okay to disagree with President Trump on policy. It's okay if he nominates somebody and somebody wants to come out and say, hey, I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of this information because, you can't vet everybody with a fine-tooth comb, and if the Trump administration is aware of it and they want to continue with it, that's fine. But I get that. But like, if President Trump wants to go pick out a homeless person underneath of a bridge to appoint them to a position of some sort because he trusts them, then all these rhinos in the Senate should be backing him up on that. Every single one of them. He dragged not a single senator, not a single congressperson outperformed President Trump in their district or their state at the ballot box. President Trump dragged all these people across the finish line. Not a single one dragged President Trump across the finish line. And it's very frustrating to watch them turn around and try to do their own thing, if you will, when that's not what people voted for, number one. And then number two, President Trump has they've attempted to take this man's life multiple times. I would say that one of the biggest things that he's looking for right now is someone he can trust. Okay. Maybe they have other baggage outside of there that I don't like, you don't like, other people don't like. I get that. Okay. But right now, I believe President Trump is looking for people he can trust. His life has been at risk over here. And so therefore these people should be falling in line and helping him appoint the people that he actually trusts. And that way we can move forward and start trying to save our country.
Derek, I'll tell you this. Can they do the job or not? Okay. Like I used to explain to people as a cop, when I stop the car, I get fined something to write a ticket. I could always find something. So every nominee that comes up, they're always looking for that something as an excuse not to push them through. The bottom line should be, can they do the job, and does the president trust them? Are they qualified? Can they do the job? Does the president trust them? If that's the case, nominate them.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's supposed to be the president's picks to run this administration the way that he chooses. And like you said, if the person's like wildly unqualified, then I understand. But the other thing that really just strikes me with this is the fact that they couldn't even get it out of committee to give Ed Martin a fair hearing shows me exactly where they are. And, again, we knew that he wasn't going to get the votes because of Tillis and whatever else, but the fact they couldn't even give this guy a fair hearing on the stage, because, who knows, maybe he could have converted somebody else, or maybe Fetterman or one of these other Democrats would flip sides. The media's got bullseyes on him again right now too, which I don't quite understand. But guys, we are almost out of time here. Teddy, what is the best place for our audience to find you?
Oh boy, I would hand out my phone number, but I know better than that. You can find me on Twitter at Teddy Daniels TV. At Teddy Daniels TV. I'm widely shadow banned, so even there you may not be able to find me. So,
well, any words of wisdom?
You are search banned, actually, Teddy. You can't. If I search your name, you don't show up on X. Just so you know, you're
I know.
banned.
That's how shadow banned I am.
That's how I know you're a patriot.
I must be
that's
doing
insane.
something right, brother. I must be doing something right. You know. Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Just stay cool, man. Like, seriously, be you, do you. Don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to the naysayers. You could you can find a cure for cancer, and people will always have something to say. Derek, I know you're under fire a lot. I'm under fire a lot. Just remember, the people that you're under fire from couldn't walk a day in your shoes. You know what I mean? So just go out there, do your thing, don't conform, and stand up and fight.
That's right. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us today. Please like and share and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. We'll be back on Monday with even more.